I will call the November the 2nd, 2009 work session into order. And as it relates to our agenda today, we do have, let's see here, I believe there's some additional supplemental information as it relates to the meeting that we're going to have on the 16th of this month. Is there a motion to approve the recognitions and presentations and the consent items on the agenda? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Next thing, first thing it looks as though we have on is old business, which is the new governmental office complex update. And I believe that is found on page 8 of our agenda. Is Mr.
I think
What the information is that there has been some selected sites that have been vetted, and as it relates to each one of these sites, there's the final information about negotiations of prices and what the costs are, which is more open, is better fit for closed session later today. Is there anything else that needs to be added at this point in time, Mr. Downs, in regards to the governmental center?
No, I'm not sure what you've gone over. But
well, nothing at this point. There is another site that we've investigated, and that's the creamery site, which is not something that had been offered before. Mike can give a presentation on the site itself, and then the discussions about purchase could be in closed session.
Are you prepared to do that right now? Okay.
we have we've got 12 sites down there.
In regards to those sites, you've looked at them and you've made you and the staff have made some paring down.
Through windshield surveys of the property. Some of them are raw property that would still need the majority of the site improvements to be done. Some of them are not in a good location.
Okay. Well, unless there is anything further, why don't we hold that for a closed session, since monetary matters will be discussed. Next matter we have is G1 is new business, proposed habitat project and presentation. That's found on page 76 of our agenda. Mr. Marshall.
Smith with Habitat, and he in turn is going to introduce some representatives of the Lawrence Group. As you remember, we came before the Board of Commissioners on behalf of Habitat, who are interested in some land that we own at Cabarrus Avenue and Highway 601 bypass. And they have gone forward with doing some planning on that, and what they'd like to do is present that to you, show you what the concepts are for the property and where they are to date, to give you an update, and then there are some actions that we've listed with the agenda item. So with that, I'll introduce Bill Smith with Habitat.
Mr. Smith.
Appreciate you folks hearing us today. I'm Bill Smith. I am now the Construction and Land Development Manager for Habitat Cabarrus. And my charge, one of my charges is to bring the property on Cabarrus and 601 to fruition by July of next year to be able to implement some construction. And in that end, we're having to go through several base touchings, and this is one of them. We are requesting, one, that you authorize the county manager to sign off on a rezoning request to the city of Concord, and two, authorize the county manager to authorize transfer and to sign off on transfer once we get the zoning approved by the city, and also provide a legal description for the property. That would allow us to move on even forward with more design as far as schematics and actual plans that can be submitted for approval. I have with me today David
Malashevsky
and David M. and Rob Richardson back here in the back. And they are with the Lawrence Group. The Lawrence Group is well known for their ability to produce green communities, and have done quite a bit of that across the United States. and we have them working with us to make this property, I'm calling it Green Village right now, a reality. We will not use all of the land that, and you'll see that in a minute, but all the homes are going to be certified green. I've gone to school for that with the National Home Builder Association, and I now have I'm a certified green professional builder, which means I can request that National Home Builder Association qualify our homes and certify them as green under their criteria. Very similar to LEEDs, just not as expensive. So that's the direction we're going in. And we really are looking forward to making all of these homes, one, affordable, but two, also more economical and sustainable. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dave.
Thank you, Bill. If it's all right, I'm going to come up to the front of the room so that I can use the pointer and also use the microphone up there. Check. Very good. Well, thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be here. We've really enjoyed for the past couple of months working with Habitat. Bill asked me to, and if you wouldn't mind, wonderful, thank you. Bill asked me to give the same presentation that I had given, I guess, a couple weeks ago to his board, and I'm going to truncate that because a lot of that talked about us, but I want to get quickly to the project site and where we've progressed to date. We are based in Davidson. We do a lot of work with not-for-profits, a lot of work with communities. We are a full-service land development, planning, and architecture firm. We've done work here in the Concord area on the Roberta Church Road project. We do a lot of community-based planning facilities. We facilitate workshops involving the public. And to that end, and to Bill's comments about sustainability, in addition to buildings, we are looking with communities at how to develop sustainably for the foreseeable future. We've done so throughout this region and places in St. Louis and other parts of the country. We've also worked with other affordable housing entities, as I had mentioned before, a lot of affordable housing groups and so forth. And we've also volunteered, and we do believe in volunteers, and we will be doing a combination of pro bono and for-fee services with Habitat, and we've sort of worked all that out in detail. But I'm just going to run through some very quick images of the work that we've done over the years. As you can see, the basis of our work is community building. Here's an example of a project down in Greenville where we did the master plan, identified the park as the site for affordable housing under a new vision for how affordable housing can be delivered as a community. These are some examples of similar work that we've done in downtown Davidson. All these images are work from our public workshops and so forth. And so we've been working with Habitat now for a couple of months to sort of do diligence on options for developing the site, as well as help them imagine and vision for what the community will be. Again, this is an idea to not only bring in sustainable design in the way of the homes, but also sustainable in terms of how we touch the land, and also unique in the way we envision a neighborhood and what that will be in terms of a benefit to the residents of the neighborhood and the greater community. So again, these are all recent images of our work, and I want to get quickly on to, I guess if you move too quickly, it will. So in addition to the neighborhoods that we've helped design and plan, we have access to hundreds of images and models that we can use as examples of things to propose. Here are just some images of other affordable developments that have been done across the country, and as you can see, they all evoke a strong sense of community with sidewalks, street trees, walkable neighborhoods, and so forth. So we have access to, and we have not come up with a vision for this community in terms of what the three-dimensional, what the imagery is going to be, but I'm showing you these examples to sort of set the tone of what our next steps will be. As we get to the site, here is the site. Let me go back to here. Okay, these are just two concept plans that we had come up with for the site, and as far as just pointing out the sort of the lay of the land, this is Warren C. Coleman Road right here. This would be Cabarrus. Gayland, I believe, is right here. And then I think Brown Street and so forth. And so as you can see, what we're doing is really intensifying the density of development around existing infrastructure. So we're sort of completing the network of streets. And then we're leaving a lot of the natural topography, which is, you know, very expensive to develop. We're sort of densifying the development, if you will, so that a lot of this green space can be left accessible to folks in the neighborhood and to the community. We're looking at one-sided streets so that, that green space can be, again, accessible to the public. We're also looking at a number of sustainable efforts in terms of how this development is developed. And so, you know, we not only create better places and places that people can take advantage of future greenways and things of that nature, but we're also saving cost. So this is a very good model in terms of how we develop. And like I said, we're not set on the plans. We've come up with a couple of concepts. We now need to take this to the next step, which would be to create sort of that three-dimensional framework, that vision. Some of the things that we've talked about is actually even reducing some of these lot sizes to perhaps introduce some market rate housing. There's also the potential for some live-work type scenarios, just a small amount of neighborhood commercial to really sort of build a sense of place and allow this community to have more of a 24/7 sort of feel to it in terms of having folks that live in the community perhaps support the businesses that might be there. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. We're open to a lot of things. We want to work with the City of Concord and the county to sort of fish out what are the best things for this project. And so with that, I guess I'll turn it over if there are any questions. And Bill may have to help me with some of these.
What's the, what do you have listed that looks like an orange at the very top?
Yes, the orange, there are two types of housing here. These are attached. The orange that you refer to are attached, for those that can't see me pointing. And then the yellow are single-family detached. And right now we have 45 single-family lots and 24 townhomes.
Okay.
And the townhomes, if you remember the image that I had shown for Davidson College, it's a very similar model in terms of attached housing.
And you said, what is one-sided streets? What does that mean?
The street in the middle that overlooks the open space and has houses on one side is a one-sided street, so that we're not putting open space and park space and greenways in the backyards of private development, but we're putting it accessible to the public and, you know, for view sheds and so forth.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Again, if you folks would authorize John to go ahead and sign off on the zoning, which is going to be RV, which is the surrounding area. We can get that in process. And then, of course, once the zoning is approved, we can build these homes. And we will get a legal description survey. I'll authorize John to go ahead and transfer the property to Habitat so that we can continue on with the project in 2010.
I move we post it on the consent agenda.
We have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. It'll be on the consent agenda.
Thank you very much.
Next we have is the EDC incentive grant request for SMB Solar, Inc. Let's see. Mr. McDaniels.
Is it possible to move this to the end of the agenda? Anna Lou just sent me an email. She's stuck in traffic on Branchview.
Imagine that.
That'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, next we have is the Commerce Consent Agreement for West Oak Subdivision Project. Mrs. Morris.
This is a request for a consent agreement. This project has 13 lots that are proposed in it. It is in the city of Kannapolis. This project did start some time ago in the county, and then due to utilities was annexed in, so you'll see that based on the date that it was submitted, it is under the old ordinance. The build-out schedule that is proposed would be the 6 in calendar year 2009, I'm sorry, yeah, in 2009, it would be 6 lots, and then in 2010, no more than 7. That is the extent of the development to finish it out. They would be asked to pay the voluntary mitigation payment of $4,034 because, as you can see, schools are over capacity once the development is built. And again, this is a consent agreement, so that's why you don't have those specific numbers that you have when it's under the new APF ordinance. And we would ask that it be added as a new agenda item.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Morse at this time?
Just got one on the APFO. Right now, I mean, the raw APFO says, basic APFO says that if there's not capacity, then we can disapprove. But the build-out schedule and the fee or mitigation that the developer enters into agreement with us, that allows that to proceed. So if there's no mitigation payment, or, you know, we have the right, as to options we have the right to vote it and not to approve it at all, right?
This particular development was already approved by the city of Kannapolis, so they do have a preliminary plat approval to move forward. And the APF is with the county, but they do have a preliminary plat approval from Kannapolis.
We have any other questions? You want to place this on new business?
Move to place on new business.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is the request to permit connection to public sewer. Mr. Marshall.
There may be some questions related to this item that either Mr. Downs or Mr. Cook may need to answer, but there is a parcel, as you recall, there's a need to buy additional right-of-way on Abilene Road leading to the A.T. Allen Replacement School. As a result of that, one of those homes, it will take the area of their septic field, so we need to have some alternative to provide wastewater treatment for that particular home. We have an interlocal agreement that was part of the central area planning process and part of the larger agreements on utilities with the city of Concord, and that interlocal agreement allows connection to public sewer in certain circumstances within that area, and only under those circumstances. And one of those is for purposes of emergency when there's need because of the failure of a private on-site treatment system. In this case, the failure is going to be caused by the construction of our roads. We need to make a request to the city of Concord to make an exception and allow that home to be connected to the public sewer that it's part of the elementary construction site.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Marshall at this time?
I move we place this on the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the request for revision of the consent agreement for Waterford on the Rocky River subdivision.
This is a request for a revision to an existing consent agreement, and Mr. Niblock is here today. He would like to address the board.
Mr. Niblock?
Yep. My name's William Niblock, and our company, Niblock Homes, is the developer of the Waterford neighborhood, which is in the city of Kannapolis, that goes between Shiloh Church Road and Jim Johnson Road. We currently are under a consent agreement. Our sales have been just a fraction, just like every other home builders, of what they have been in the past. And we're building on 90-foot lots currently in the neighborhood. We have another section of lots that are 60 feet wide that we have started development of 22 of those lots, trying to build a little bit more affordable housing. The average home in the Waterford neighborhood's currently been about $500,000, and we're trying to get down in this section where we're building more in that 250 sort of range, which is pretty much the only thing selling in the market. And what we would like to do is, or what we're requesting the county is to allow us to pay the fees at the time we get building permits. I really think, I certainly wish the county would consider changing and requiring all APFO fees paid at time of building permit. It is impossible to get development financing to do projects like this right now. The fee is a significant part of the expense of moving forward with this. And again, that's why we would request that we were able to pay those at the time we get permits. We actually have not used up near the capacity of the fees, or we're not near on schedule to build out the project nearly as fast as we were permitted to do so. And I think you'll find that's true of just about every project in Cabarrus County. I think the build-out times are extremely optimistic, probably by a factor of 500% or whatever, and that there are not going to be near the number of new homes built in this county, or they're not going to be built at the rate that was anticipated, over the last couple of years as things were approved. So what, again, we're requesting is that we be allowed to pay those fees at the time we get building permits. It's my understanding the county has granted that request to some other folks, and we would be asking for the same consideration.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Morris or Mr. Niblock? Have you paid any of the APFO fees on this project to date?
Yes, we've paid a couple $100,000.
Okay.
I don't know the figure, but I think we've paid as a company about $450,000 or in that range.
Okay.
But in this project, I think we've paid in excess of
Do you know how many permits you pulled?
200. No, we've probably pulled about 15 permits total.
So that's $60,000.
Something like that.
$60,000?
Yeah, but we paid the fee, for the whole first phase. We
Okay.
put in 50-some lots, so
Okay.
I'm not sure what we paid. It was in excess of $200,000, I think.
And then that's part of the lawsuit that you're suing the county on, asking for that money to be given back to you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that lawsuit's still going, is that correct, Mr. Cook?
That is correct. It was just filed, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Well, I think that with a lawsuit pending, that we need to first seek counsel from our attorney to find out what is the best course of action and what we can do. So that I would just say we table it until we have an opportunity to speak to Mr. Cook concerning anything as it results to Rocky River Subdivision. Is there anything we should discuss openly right now, or would it be better to wait?
I think that would be a matter that would be appropriate for closed session.
Okay. Well, why don't we table it until...
I move we table this for 30 days to our December work session.
Okay. Then we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next matter we have is the text amendment, water body buffer zone. Mrs. Morris.
This is a proposed text amendment to clarify some items in the water body overlay. About a year and a half ago, we went in and made some changes to make sure that we were consistent with the IBT, the interbasin transfer that Concord and Kannapolis agreed to for additional water. As part of that, we have found that some of those regulations we are able to change. One of the items that this specifically addresses is that farm ponds would be exempt. Farm ponds are currently required to buffer in the ordinance. If they are on a stream, they would be required to buffer, but if they're not, they would not be. It also permits property that is located in the water body buffer zone to be counted towards minimum lot size right now. And since we adopted the changes from designing Cabarrus in 2005, that is not the case. Somebody that has a 10,000 square foot minimum, if they have property located within that water body buffer zone, that lot is actually going to end up being larger than that minimum requirement because they can't count that towards it. And it also adjusts buffers on Class 2 streams and water bodies so that those are consistent. We currently have a calculation that's performed, so the minimum folks are looking at on either side really is 75 feet. This would allow 30 feet on either side and then a 10-foot no-build buffer Because in some cases, these streams they have been prohibitive to the lots.
Is there any questions for Mrs. Morris at this time? What is considered, is there a size that is considered for a farm pond as opposed to any other, how do you have a farm pond as opposed to any other body of water that's on a farm?
It is determined whether or not that pond is fed by a classified stream. So if it's along that stream, then they would have to buffer it, but if it just kind of sits out in the middle of nowhere, and is one that they either add water to, or it's just filled up by rainwater, then it would not be subject.
And what's a Class 2 stream? What is that considered?
Class 2 streams are streams that are intermittent streams, and sometimes they just really look like a ditch. They may or may not have water in them, but they still have to be buffered, so that's where we're adjusting those buffers on those types of streams.
Any other questions for Mrs. Morris? We have a motion to place this under new business for a public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next is a proposed text amendment regarding female chickens in LDR and MDR zoning districts. Mrs. Morris.
A few months ago, we were approached by our county manager to look at urban chickens along with the local foods movement. So we did some research
Are there,
and
excuse me, are there city chickens?
yes, they are city chickens. They are urban city chickens. They live in the city. Yes.
Not in Concord, though.
But not in Concord. Yes, you're correct on that. What we are proposing, our ordinance currently covers parcels that are 5 acres or more in MDR and LDR, and it allows livestock to be permitted on those lots. What this proposed amendment does is it clarifies the definition of livestock, and then it provides the exception for female chickens on that less than 5 acres. So this would kind of pick up the 1 and 2 acre lots that may exist in MDR or LDR since we did the mass rezoning. And it would also potentially allow folks who live in the subdivisions to have the chickens. It would be the female chickens only. There are some criteria for setbacks on not only the chicken house, but also the run. I have pictures of smaller houses with runs attached to them if any of you are interested in seeing that. But it would allow, in a limited number, folks to have hens if they wanted to have organic eggs. It does not allow any type of butchering on the site either. It's simply to allow the egg production. And it also addresses compost if someone chooses to compost at their house.
Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Morris? Well, tell me about how does this address if there's any health concerns regarding the chickens, noise concerns. What happens if one of them starts running loose, and what happens if we start having some roosters out there instead of just female urban chickens?
At that point, it would become an enforcement issue. As for the noise, that really isn't addressed in this. The most that somebody would be permitted to have is 15, and that would be on a 2 to 5 acre lot. As far as the health concerns, I've talked to several different folks, and when you get to the backyard chickens, there are some of the concerns if a chicken happened to come up with bird flu or something, but not like what it is whenever you get to the hatcheries and the mass productions. We do have chickens out there already where some folks in these zoning districts, they already have some of the chickens, but this would be more on that small scale. And if there was a complaint, but the complaint would need to be related to the setbacks They do have to be contained, so if somebody has a post and rail fence around their yard, the chickens can't just be kind of out there loose so that they can't fly to the next neighbor's yard. They do have to be in the house or in the run, and the runs are typically contained.
Also see here, I guess, that in paragraph 3, that the house, the setback's 25 feet from any property line and 50 feet from any stream. So it's a very restricted area on the property where it actually can go, because in MDR especially, you start going 25 feet back from any property line, you're getting narrowly defined of where that can be at. It's almost, one small area of the yard that can be put in.
That's correct, and it will kind of move them more
Same thing
to
with
the
waste
middle.
products too. Yeah,
of
waste
that.
products as well.
Yes.
So you won't be sticking on the corner of their yard right next to somebody else's yard.
Right, hopefully.
Where is it in our ordinances that would govern if roosters were there, or if they were not complying with, if the landowner was not complying with 1 through 8? What happens then?
This text would be added to the zoning ordinance, and then it would become an enforcement case. And it would be just like any other enforcement case that we have. It says that they expressly cannot have roosters. So if they had roosters, then we would start an enforcement action and ask them to remove the roosters from the site.
Is there anything I don't see anything in here, but in regards to this proposed text amendment, but is there anything that would monitor what landowner has chickens?
We did not go the route of permitting the chickens. The city of Charlotte does require a permit. They also require permits for the actual structures. We did not go that route, but that is something that if the board would choose to do that, then we can go back and readdress the text.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Do we have a motion to place this on the new business for a public hearing and then handling the adoption or denial of the ordinance amendment?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And the next is the proposed text amendment regarding district development standards. Again, Mrs. Morris.
If you remember, probably about 4 months ago, we brought a text amendment to you all that we had been working on, which was kind of broad. It really kind of went the opposite of way of where we are right now in the ordinance. What this particular text amendment does is it kind of brings us back to the middle. It establishes some standards for uses that aren't strictly commercial uses, uses that would be permitted in residential areas. For example, if it was a horse stable, it now would be able to look like that stable. We've added some additional building materials in allowing some architectural metal so that there will be some additional materials that folks can use to create a little bit better product. It also adds standards to projects that are located in commercial projects that are located in residential areas. For example, if there was a huge big box that was proposed for a neighborhood, it now allows the Planning and Zoning Board some flexibility when they're sitting as design review to ask that developer to go back and look at that project in context with scale, materials, where it's sited, things like that. So it adds some of the contextual elements to it, as well as removing the Planning and Zoning Board from every commercial design review. They would now, certain projects now would simply stay in-house and be approved on an administrative level, and then those ones that are subject to the actual Appendix B, those would proceed to the Planning and Zoning Board for final approval.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Morris at this time? It sounds like it's allowing the Planning and Zoning Board to look at what's in the area as opposed to just cookie cutter things, and this is the way it's supposed to look at, irregardless of where it is within the county. That sounds like what we're trying to achieve here?
That's correct. If there's a situation where a development can occur on well and septic, then we would want that to be in keeping with the neighborhood. And this does allow them that flexibility either to ask for additional items or to adjust some of those items if it's not really consistent with the context of that neighborhood.
Okay. Do we have a motion to place this under new business for a public hearing and then resolution thereafter?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next matter is the new business fleet policy. Mrs. Dubois.
Yes, we have been working on a lot of the policies within the county, and you had the personnel ordinance in front of you, I think, last month. And this particular policy is the fleet policy. The Board of Commissioners adopted it on June 1st of 1992. But in the modification process of going through what changes that were necessary, we feel from the management staff that it would be more conducive for this policy to be an administrative policy instead of a board-approved policy. The majority of the things that are involved in the policy are risk management issues, IRS regulations, and personnel issues concerning the use and behavior of vehicles while operating them for Cabarrus County. Other things are direct results of budgetary issues. So we are requesting that the Board of Commissioners to unadopt this policy, I think is the best word I could come up with, so that it could become an administrative policy that management could monitor. And the old policy that was adopted by the board is attached.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Dubois? We have a motion to place this under consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Under, the next is the finance presentation of the fiscal year 2009 comprehensive annual financial report.
This is basically a placeholder for the presentation to be done at the November 16th meeting to present the audit, similar to what Ms. Farrington did last year, and we'll also have our new audit firm come in and do a presentation also.
Move to place under new business.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Goes on new business. Next is required public hearing and resolution relating to the Q-scabs for Kannapolis City School projects totaling $2.1 million roughly.
This agenda item needs to be modified. I got notification from our council this morning, our bond council, that the only thing that is necessary at this point is to hold the public hearing. So we are asking that the public hearing be held on November 16th, and it will be advertised in the paper with a 10-day notification. The resolution will come before you at a later time. There was concerns of trying to meet a December 31st deadline, but according to conversations that we have had with DPI, because we have, as long as we hold the public hearing and we have made a request to them that we are making an effort to move forward with this financing, and at this point in time, there is no agencies that are offering the 0% financing. They are placing a coupon on it, and our conditions are that it would be a zero coupon. So, like I said, this time we just need to hold the public hearing, and I will remove the resolution from this item.
So we're just having a public hearing. We're not doing anything other than just holding a public hearing.
And this would be for Kannapolis City Schools project.
And it allows us the opportunity that if it benefits the county and the community as a whole, then we can move forward with it. If we choose that it does not benefit, then we do not have to move forward with issuing anything, correct?
Correct. If it does not meet our criteria, we will not move forward.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion to place this under new business?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a
Second.
motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Carolina Thread Trail. Mrs. Strong.
At the October work session, the Carolina Thread Trail Greenway Master Plan was presented, and there were some questions that the Board of Commissioners had, and we have tried to answer those questions at this point. And what you have two attachments. One is from Carolina Thread Trail, that addresses most of the specifics of the entire process from day one, how it started, why it started, what we do, how we did it, and what has been done to this point. The other one has some specifics from the plan on it that addresses the number of adjacent properties along that trail. If you look at just the Carolina Thread Trail, and as you remember, the master plan is for the entire county. It is not just the Carolina Thread Trail. There's 107 of those miles are just the Carolina Thread Trail. Of those, on those 107 miles, 12,601 adjacent parcel owners, 16,000 along the county, outside those city limits, outside the Carolina Thread Trail, for a total of 29,080 property owners, adjacent property owners in that quarter mile from center line. So if we were doing a mail out to all of those, it would be quite costly, but, you know, just wanted to give you those numbers. What we have done and what we do and what the proposal asked for is that as we get a trail, that section of the trail that we are going to build, we will then contact the people if it's a quarter mile, a mile, half a mile, whatever the length of that specific trail section that we're going to be doing, we would then contact those owners. Having that quarter mile off center line gives us a little flexibility, so we would be able to move if we had some problems. So that's where we are now. If you have any questions about any of those specifics from the Carolina Thread Trail or on the other info, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Some of the questions that I had in our last meeting was if we're going to be affecting landowners' property rights, then I wanted to make certain that they're aware of it. Number one. Number two is I wanted to make certain that obviously they could voice their concerns and what are our contingencies should we not go across that property right, that land? Is there a way to still achieve the Greenway or the Carolina Thread Trail conceptually without affecting that person's rights if they say no? Second is I don't feel comfortable in adopting a plan that is without a way that we're going to move forward with it instead of just giving it lip service. That doesn't give anybody, doesn't help anybody. You know, those are the concerns that I had going into it. And also that there has got to be a way within this concept that in ranking as to where we're going to head with this. We certainly, part of the Greenway or part of the Thread Trail is probably going to get developed first as there's got to be a ranking of it. And as we go in that ranking, is we give the opportunity for how we're going to move forward with it so that a board of commissioners 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now doesn't have to deal with this every time they turn around, number one. And number two is I don't want to adopt something that then gets put on the shelf and just collects dust. I mean, that's a waste of everybody's time and energy that move forward with this. So it sounds like you have a good idea about how that can be accomplished, but still respecting a landowner that says, I don't want it to go on my property. And that's fine, because it sounds like there's a contingency that we can get, that the Thread Trail or the Greenway can move around it and still accomplish the goal.
The city of Kannapolis and Concord are both in the process of developing parts of the Greenway, parts of the Carolina Thread Trail, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're holding meetings every time they have money for a specific section.
Okay. Do we have a motion to place this under the consent agenda or new business? And it would be adopting the final draft of the Thread Trail.
I move we place it under the consent agenda.
We have a motion. We have a second. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Thank you.
Next is the name proposal for the new park in the southwest or southeast area.
Oh, am I doing this?
Mr. Downs.
The Parks staff and the Parks Board has discussed the proposed name of what we've been calling for planning purposes, the Southeast Community Park, which is in Midland. The board approved the purchase of the property. As we're moving forward, we're having public hearings and public meetings and getting public input from several different areas and locations, and we're ready to bring to you a proposal for a name, and the Parks Board has also approved that. So we are looking to let me make sure I get this right. Robert L. Wallace Park. Rob Wallace Park. No L in the middle. Rob Wallace Park. That's what he's. We have discussed this with Mr. Wallace. Not sure if he would even accept it, but he has, and is pretty excited about it. And he has been a major part of us getting a park in that area. Not only selling us the property, but selling us and at an attractive price and in a way that we can afford to do that. So.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Downs?
I just wondering, because I know that when you see Rob, you see Donna, and they pretty much are a team. Did she say anything? Did she not want to be Rob and Donna Wallace Park, or did any
Lonnie, you want to
consideration?
add to that? Londa presented it to her board, so.
When I spoke with Donna, away from Rob, she said her name was not to be associated with that Rob had worked very hard. She said that Rob had worked very hard on that piece of property and had a lot of his love and labor had gone into that over the years, and he really wanted that to be a park, par 3, a golf course or something, that she felt like he was the one that deserved that instead of her.
Well, I'll tell you this is, I think in years to come, it'll be known as well as Frank Lisk Park. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous, and their generosity is greatly appreciated. I tell you, it's going to be exciting when that opens up.
Yes, it will.
Make a motion to be put under consent agreement.
How about if we put it on the new? How about if we put it under new business?
Okay,
So we
good.
can.
I'll make
It needs to be
that motion.
because we're also trying to get information on community involvement about the design of the park, and I know we've gotten quite a few discussions and suggestions, and I think it'll give us another time to segue into, please go to the website, and I don't know it off the top of my head, but go to a website to get your input, because it is important to know what you would like for it to look like.
There's a link off of our webpage,
Okay.
the county's webpage, to go to that site.
Great. We have a motion and a second to place this under new business. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Number 14, cap and trade discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've sent this in to be included. I got this, a note from Representative Barnhart, where several commissioners around the state have written letters to Senator Hagan, asking her to oppose federal standards that exceeded the North Carolina's 12.5% renewable energy standards for, in the interest areas that would it have, and I would guess consider with due diligence before you approve something like that, what effect it could have on economic development in the state, especially in a time when we've lost a lot of jobs. These are individual letters from individual commissioners. I brought it to y'all. I didn't know whether the board wanted to do anything or whether it was just for information purposes, if any of us wanted to individually write letters as well to the senator, expressing our concerns if we have concerns.
Well,
And I think it's
why would there not be a letter sent to Senator Burr?
I think it's. So.
Figured that was the obvious answer, but wanted to make certain.
Yeah, so if, I noticed that basically there was a letter from, it's written on actually the county letterhead from Catawba County as well as from Cumberland County, but I don't think it's the boards did, I think it's the individual commissioners that wrote the letters, so I'm just bringing it to y'all, won't do anything with it.
Corey, what do you think?
I think we'll do it.
As a group or as an individual?
Group.
Okay. Commissioner Poole? Yeah. I mean, it certainly comes up with a lot of a lot of things to think about. I certainly think that it's, unfortunately, it's not on the forefront of discussion in the United States. Healthcare is taking the front burner right now, but certainly is a big issue as it relates to each one of us individually and collectively. I think it's a very big issue that we need to understand better, and we need to voice our opinion to our proper representatives.
I know that we're working hard here in this area because of the non-attainment issues, but, and I guess bring it to y'all. If we want to do something together, I can do a little more research.
Well, why don't we do this, is if there's a motion, place this under new business. Can you get something of your comment, or your
Right.
thoughts prior to the meeting on the 16th?
Sure can.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second it.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries.
I feel like some thoughts on why you should say it's a good idea.
We can go back to, if everybody can look back in their agenda on G2, the EDC incentive grant request for SMB Solar Inc. And public hearing. Mrs. Wilson. That's on page 111 for everybody.
And I apologize for my punctuality, but I appreciate you not letting Ryan speak for me, because I've been wanting to bring this project to you for over a year now. SBM Solar Inc. is a local manufacturer of solar panels since 2002. They actually are manufacturing just about 3 blocks from us right here, just off of Spring Street. That's where they've been since 2002. But they recently received a UL certification for a non-glass solar panel, and that's required them to need more space. They'll be moving into an existing building, 22,000 square feet off of Central Drive near Gibson Mill, and they'll be making an investment of $1.3 million, and that's just for equipment only. They'll add 16 new full-time jobs with benefits, an average wage of $40,000. I'd like to request a 3-year grant at 85%, and I'd like to answer any questions if you have them, and also request a public hearing for SBM Solar.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Wilson? You have it posted, or you have it down here as a 3-year, 85% grant, and you have a Excel spreadsheet for that, I believe?
Yes. So it'd be 20,884.
Okay.
It's way down there.
Let's see here.
It's right there.
There it is. Whoops.
And that's information on the company, obviously.
Tell me, what is the depreciation schedule for the items they're wanting to purchase?
The depreciation schedule is over 7 years. I don't think I have a copy of that with me, and I know that I didn't submit that to the board.
Okay. And so that this does not show the depreciation schedule. You're listing the assessed value to stay at 1.3 million for 3 years.
That's correct. That's correct. In fact, they are planning to need to expand and will purchase the facility in year 2, which will be 57, there'll be about 57,000 square feet, and they'll be starting at 1 shift, but will be moving to 3 shifts. So they'll also be adding more jobs in year 2 and 3, up to 60 jobs.
Up to 16 jobs?
60.
60 jobs?
Yes.
Okay. What happens if they don't purchase in year 2? What if they just continue to lease? What do we do then? We just continue to give the grant? Okay.
Yes.
And what
They
hap-
will purchase. If not in year 2, probably year 3.
Okay,
The
well,
facility is conducive for them to expand. And they'll be doing, it is an older building, and they'll be doing a lot of upfit to it as well. There's no one else in the building currently.
Okay. Did they have a contract to purchase it in 2000, let me see, year two, this is 2011?
They don't have a contract scheduled to purchase.
Okay. Do we have in our proposed, proposed incentive grant, Mr. Cook, do we put in there any, about a clawback provision? Should they go out of business or move? Because this is very similar to me that like Fly-Right was, is it's all equipment that gets depreciated over a short period of time. And then there's actually only 4 years of life of the equipment after the grant expires.
That's right. Actually, I did a draft of the incentive grant agreement for this SBM Solar proposal that was based on the Fly-Right model that we had developed that had the clawback provisions in it.
Okay.
In fact, I was not aware that they were considering purchasing the property after the first or second year. We put in the Fly-Right document, they had to sign a lease for a minimum of 5 years, so I left that provision in it. But of course, if it's going to be different, we can change it. But the clawback provisions that you were referring to, Mr. Chairman, are actually in the proposed document.
And is that, is SBM Solar, have they reviewed this draft incentive agreement, and are they in agreement with it?
They haven't seen it yet.
They haven't seen it
They
yet?
have not.
Okay. Any other questions for Mrs. Wilson? We have a motion to place this under new business for a public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
you.
carries. Now, if it wasn't abundantly clear, my assumption is that earlier when we had a motion to approve the agenda with the consent agenda, it would also include the appointments to the boards as well as the reports. If that is not understood, we can make it clear now. With that, I believe that takes care of everything that we have on today. Is that correct, Mrs. Honeycutt?
We will need to recess if there's going to be a quorum attending the Planning 101 session as part of the Harrisburg Land Use Plan Update on November 10th. I'm not sure that we have a quorum going now.
I believe I had mentioned that I would be at that meeting. It's probably a possibility now that I will not be.
What time is that on the 10th?
I think it's at 5 or 6. 5, yeah, 5 to 7.
Then right after that, I believe is another function, right, if I'm correct, right? It's another thing right after that as well? Okay.
Okay. I was planning on going. It's just going to be hit or miss depending on what's going on that day. So what we'll do is we'll talk about it. Well, is anybody else going to be going to the Harrisburg?
I may be.
You may be. Do we know anything about Commissioner Minot?
I don't believe that she'll be able to attend.
Okay, well then why don't we'll just recess today after our closed session. And if we need to, I won't attend on the 10th, if that's the case, just so there's not a question about it. Thank you. Do we have a motion to go into closed session to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses, as well as to establish or to instruct public body staff or negotiation agents concerning the positions to be taken by on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract, and also invite Mr. Ryan McDaniels and Mr. Mike Downs to come to the closed session to present the information for their respective
So moved.
report. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.